All right, coming to the stream, Mark. I think you and I have talked about this fine young lady a couple of times, but I met Jennifer Garcia. I'm going to bring her into the stream really quickly. Jennifer and I met when she was working at Texas Monthly, basically running the whole publication. I mean, she decided all of that. I mean, she discovered Matthew McConaughey. Yeah, she's done so much, but she and I have been kindred spirits on a lot of levels, including UT football. And I even talked her husband into playing keeper for my men's indoor soccer team for a period of time. And he doesn't call me anymore. He doesn't talk to me because of that experience. But Jennifer, thank you so much for joining today. I'm so grateful that you agreed to do this.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Steve. It's always a pleasure visiting with you. And honestly, Cynthia and Liz are tough acts to follow. So I don't know that there is anything I could do or say to top that. I mean, seriously, they're phenomenal.
Well, yeah, you are as well, because you have actually taken Ripple in your career. You have leveraged these core tactics and strategies to really benefit the teams that you've organized and worked with. And you've accomplished some ginormous things, not only when you were with the publication, but even beyond that. And, you organized, I mean, one of the projects that we talked about most recently, you were working with some women in a nonprofit and kind of organizing an event for them. And you weren't really even necessarily technically getting paid to do it. You were doing it out of the kindness of your heart. And that's the kind of person that you are. And what totally impressed me about you when I first met you is that you always show up with this attitude and this approach, like, I'm here to help. What can I do? And so when I think of Ripple, I definitely think of you, because you are one that is a ripple maker for sure.
Well, I learned from the best, but two things. One, I heard this was a happy hour event as well. And I haven't seen it.
It is. Okay. Yeah. Okay. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking, for those of you that may not know, it's a michelada. And I don't know how many of you.
Oh, yeah.
They're also known as bloody beers. Basically, it's a Bloody Mary without the vodka, but with beer.
Yes.
So I thought I'd bring that up because they're particularly delightful when you're going to a UT football game, pregame.
Absolutely. Now that you guys have one of the best tailgates on the planet, let's just be honest. I mean, you want to talk about ripples being made, that's the ripples that are being made there for sure.
That is true. My husband and I were known for throwing some pretty big tailgates for probably about, I'm saying my age, 20 plus years now. But
absolutely.
This year was but that's okay. We're doing it on our own at home. One other thing before we talk about other opportunities, I just had to show something for you all. I've known Steve, I think, since about 2006.
Yep.
But you made an impact on me in particular at a Ripple that I went to, where you may not remember this. I don't know if anybody can see this. Oh, you can't.
Oh, yeah. If you hold it back a little bit, we can kind of see it.
Okay. Harder to see. I'm going to take. Let me just tell you. So Steve, as part of this Ripple, had us all write letters to ourselves. I don't even know if you remember this, Steve.
Yeah.
This is that letter, 2010, 2011, right? I still have it. And you made us write down what we accomplished that year and what we hope to accomplish the following year. And I happened to, fortunately, you can't see my drawings because it looks like something my kindergarten children back then would have drawn. But it was a clock for more time. Like, I wanted to use my time wisely.
Yep.
Books. I wanted to read not just for personal pleasure, but also to further my career. A couple of Longhorns, always.
Always.
But I had on here Mickey Mouse ears. I wanted to travel and I wanted to do something with my family. And I don't know why, I just was sketching and I drew them on there. I had only been to Disney World when I was in 8th grade. So that tells you how long it had been. Anyway, I was laughing as you were telling us to do this. And then you collected all these and said, all right, I'm going to mail these to you so you can see what you've accomplished. Yeah. Well, lo and behold, rippling and talking to people and some folks that I knew, it happened like within 6 months. I got a contact out of nowhere through that Ripple of saying, hey, I know someone, one of my clients actually has a timeshare in Florida and they're not going to do anything with it. It's right outside of Disney. Does anybody want to use it? I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I had you in the back of my head, like, Jen, you got to do this. You got to do this. And actually, I bring that up because I think you were one of those folks that made me sit down and really think through, what are my priorities? What do I want to accomplish? And how do I get there? And don't be afraid to take those risks. So I still have this in my personal file folder that I look at from time to time. And now I got a reason to bring it out.
Oh, that's fantastic. I appreciate you're gonna have to send me a picture of that. We'll have to post it on social because I would love to have a copy. I mean, I don't know if you know this, but I just interviewed Kathleen Evans from Costa Rica for my podcast.
Oh yes.
And she talked about, that same event, might have been the same event that we were, that you're talking about, where she had envisioned going to a beach, owning a bar. She doesn't own the bar, but she's at the beach and living her best life. And so it means the world to me to see that activity really meant so much to you all, because it was a neat idea, I thought, at the time, and then I wasn't sure anybody would care a year later, but apparently they did. So.
Well, it did, and I still use that tactic. The other thing I'll say about that, back to the ripple, part of what you taught us in that, in that ripple, and I still carry that today, is part of what everybody else has been talking about, which is when you meet people, it's not about what they do or where they do it. It's not about the work. It's about the person, the whole person. And I think that's been something that's really helped me to find, those connections that you wouldn't look for otherwise. It's so easy to fall back into where do you work? What do you do? And that really just, it's irrelevant, because I think what I've also found through the connections I've made through what you've taught us is that it doesn't have to be about just professional connections. It's personal connections. I have a son with a disability, and Steve, you've known this.
Yep.
And I have found, when you talk to individuals and learn about what their struggles are, what they're going through, sometimes you find the connection you didn't even know existed. I have been able to lean on, even through your help, with your connections and your ripples, on other women who have faced the same challenges, raising children that have disabilities. So you're able to find those peers and connect. And I've actually, I've taken it upon myself too to raise my hand, or I've had people reach out to me that I don't even know and say, hey, someone mentioned that you've been going through this. Is there any recommendation you can have? People we can reach out to, support groups? Absolutely. Because at that point, you're making a bigger impact on their life than just work. You're making, it's something that they will take with them and carry with them and hopefully pay it forward. That's the other part that I always think about with you. So yes, and I'm kind of jumping through some of the things that I've always learned and I still do to this day. You also talk about, keep those connections current. Don't let them slide. You have, and again, even if it's just reaching out to someone, I've taken your advice before, reached out to past colleagues or bosses and tell them, or even friends, hey, it's been forever and I didn't mean for this much time to pass, but you really made an impression on me. You helped me get through X, Y, or Z. And I just want you to know that. I don't want anything from it. I just want you to know that. And I think really, especially nowadays, it's so important to kind of like fill everybody's bucket without expectations, because when you least expect it, believe it or not, you get something in return. And at the end of the day, I think it's really about, like, I think it was Liz saying, it's how do you want to be remembered? I want to be remembered of making people feel positive, knowing that they have the ability to accomplish any of their goals, or that they will always have someone to lean on, like myself, if they need it.
Yep.
So, those were some of the things that I've always taken away nuggets with you as well. And I see my time's going soon. The other thing I wanted to say, back to always finding a connection. I've run into you at Starbucks. I know you say, go to Starbucks and meet a couple of people. I've run into you at Starbucks before. But one thing I have found, and there's a lot of folks on here that have talked about military relationships or backgrounds or worked. I'm an Army brat. I grew up my whole life moving around from town to town. And my dad taught me the idea of respect of those individuals that have served our country. So for years and years, whenever I see somebody wearing a vet cap or just Army or whatever it is, it's always like, thank you so much for your service. And it just so happened one time at Starbucks, and I so wish I remembered his name. I happened to see a vet sitting down by himself at a Starbucks one time. This was not too far from where I live. And I just sat down with him. He was, I think he was in his late 90s, hundreds. He was a World War II vet.
Yeah.
And I just said, thank you. And we struck up a conversation, and I meant to just sit there and wait for my coffee and talk to him. We talked for 35, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
That man was so incredible. He actually played for the New York Yankees before he went into World War II. And the story he had and how he made his way to Texas and the life he built for himself, and his wife passing away, but his children moving back from California, profound. And I have found just what people wear on their caps. Is it a Longhorn cap? I can connect. If it's an Oklahoma Sooner cap, no offense to those Sooners out there, we can still connect and we can have a good conversation. But again, it's, you know, that camaraderie. And I think those are the pieces that I hope to carry or instill in my kids. I do that with anyone that I work with. It's like, think about the person, not what they do. I think that's what's the most important. So I'm thrilled that you're coming out with another book, because everything you have taught me, I try, not all of it, clearly there's a lot more to learn and do, but those are all things I carry with me and hope to.
I love that. So I think that vet's name, because was it at the Starbucks that we've connected at before?
Not at the same one, no. I was actually up in Leander.
Oh, wow. Okay. So there's one near our house that his name's Ed, and I almost would say it's the same guy. Maybe he switched Starbucks, because he's 92 years old. He played professional baseball, and he basically has his little circle that he goes around, but he's got his routine, and his big treat to himself is to go to Starbucks, get a paper, sit there, enjoy his coffee. And he, same like you know, I walked up one morning, saw him by himself, and I just went up and thanked him for his service. And I asked if I could get him a refill of coffee. And he was like, well, yes, that would be great. And that's how we hit it up. But it's got to be the same guy.
Was he Italian? Because I do remember him talking about Italian. There you go.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful man. And I met a Vietnam vet who actually flew the same helicopters as my dad. You know, he was like, tell your father. Wow. So I got to call my father right after that. And it just warmed my heart. It filled my soul to know, you know, that conversation may or may not have had an impact on him and my father, and on me. It did on me too. I mean, I still talk about it. It's been quite a while. So absolutely. Those are all the things that you, my friend, have taught me and that I carry with me.
Well, I greatly appreciate that. That means the world to me, because I think you were a bona fide Rippler before I even put the term Ripple together. So quite honestly, I mean, you are someone that when people meet you out there in the wild, they're just immediately drawn to you, because you have one of these vivacious personalities. You're super open and willing to have that conversation and want to discover what you can about people. And that's what constitutes a really good Rippler. I mean, you are really good at figuring out how to get people to open up and share their story. And it's a real credit to you, because not everybody has that skill set, and you've done it. You've done it for people that have worked for you. You did it with new bosses that came in. I remember us having some strategy sessions about that, and managed to make that, you know, sort of a much different business relationship than it might have been if you had just been kind of, well, let's just kind of see where it goes. And you took the bull by the horns, and you made it happen, and you continue to make it happen, which makes it so amazing to be your friend. And I'm so grateful that you agreed to do this tonight.
Oh, thank you so much, Steve. I wanted to leave with one comment, because there have been so many. I've been jotting down like the right person at the right time, all of these things. I love having these kind of things that I can refer to and remind me of. But one of my favorite quotes, and I just tend to botch it sometimes, but it's, life is not measured by the number of breaths we take, but by the moments that take our breath away.
Yep.
I don't know why, but I've always found that just to be invigorating. And, I keep that by my desk at all times. I just wanted to share that, because I think that goes hand in hand with what you talk about and how
I love that. You know that George Strait wrote a song to that?
No, I don't think I did.
Yeah, I'll send you a link. It's it'll make you tear up. I promise you.
Oh, great! I'm always full of tears whenever
it's incredible.
Bring the Hallmark movies on for Christmas, and
it's Kathy does as well. I mean, do they ever stop the Christmas movies? Let's just be honest. I mean, it seems like it's been a continuous Christmas movie since July.
Well, this year has needed it more than any year, so let's not.
I suppose, yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it, and I will talk to you soon.
Wonderful, thanks, and hello and goodbye, Mark, to you too. It's so nice.
It was nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, we definitely have to get you two together at some point, because there's a variety of reasons, but yeah, absolutely, we need to do that.
You bet. Y'all take care.
Say hi to Dave and the kids for me.
I sure will.
All right. Take care.
Bye.